What's going on, everyone? Welcome on into a live edition of the Cleveland Browns Report. Matthew Peterson here following the NFL schedule release day. We're going to go game by game, and I'll give you my win-loss prediction for the entire schedule for Cleveland. Plus, we're going to talk a little bit about the rookie quarterbacks, since that is the biggest topic right now going into the off-season schedule here. But we do have a big announcement to make on the channel. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But before we do, shout out your city for me in the chat. Let me know where you are tuning in from. I see we already have a bunch of super chats coming in from our number one fans. We'll get to those super chats in just a moment. But shout out your city for me in the chat. Let me know where you are watching from. We've got nearly 100 people tuned in right from the jump. Appreciate everyone for filing on in. Click that like button if you haven't already. I've got Sugar Creek from Tammy in the chat. Oren is in Raleigh. Antonio is in Newport News, Virginia. Him is in Springfield, Ohio. Finn is in Germany. We've got Ryan in Dayton. Rose in Ohio as well. Miller is in Michigan. Love to see it. Shout out your city for me in the chat. Let me know where you are watching from, as Martin is tuning in from Atlanta and Aiden is in Fort Wayne, Indiana. All right. So shout out your city for me, and while you're doing that, we're going to run through, 7 super chats, 6 super chats from him. It's a big number. He was peppering them in the chat before we even went live, so we'll just run through them all. Here we go, from the start. Everyone, my pronouns are now she/her. All right, you got to change the name, though. This says otherwise. Next one. I support Jack Solbrook and his humor. I feel like if this happened to any other player in the draft, it would not have been as big of a deal. But the media was willing to go to the end of the world to defend Shedeur Sanders. It was kind of I wouldn't say creepy towards the end, but it went a little overboard. Let's go. Media is shaming a prank call as a ruthless crime. If you didn't know what the crime was, I think with the way that the story was covered, you might think that Jack Solbrook killed Shedeur Sanders. I think if you just read some tweets and headlines, you would assume bodily harm was done. Next one. Oh, now I'm a part of this. Okay. Media hypocrites and fake news, Matthew, are more toxic. You know what's funny is he finally, by the way, sent me the information that I needed for the jersey. And what do you know? By the time I actually get it, I send him a jersey immediately. So, and I responded to him, but he doesn't seem to care. We got a few more here. 27% of NFL players with violent. I don't know if that's true. I'm not going to say this one out loud. We're not going to talk about the H-man. But we can talk about this one right here. Reed, grab the mic. We are in a studio where the microphone doesn't really want to cooperate for the producer. Okay, I guess I'll tell the story for him. The short answer is no. Interject when I go wrong. Yeah. She replied to the message that Reed sent. Yeah, and they made a plan to go on Saturday, and on Friday, on Friday, both parties agreed to just be friends moving forward. So that's the resolution of Reed's second date, which I guess technically didn't happen, but it was planned. It was planned, and that matters. Okay, next super chat here. Yeah, we got someone else. AFX, man, PD, go home. We're back to the draft. I will say, the next 2 days after the draft, at 10 o'clock in the morning, I was feeling gassed out already. AFX, thanks for the super chat. Generational crash out. We talking? What are we talking here? Oh, I don't know, Ryan. You got to fill me in. Joshua Miller, no more jerseys. Something bad always happens. Yeah. All right. We got a few more super chats, and then we're going to jump into our show. Yeah. Few things to get to. We're going to run through these super chats. And then we have a show announcement to make, and then we're going to jump into the show. Yeah. Reed's doing okay. Reed is doing just fine. He's keeping his head up held high. How's Reed's Riz game? I have not seen it in person live myself before, but Reed will say, "Ask your sister for a better, response." On to the next one. And he's him. I sent 2 jerseys, Fannin and Judkins. I always assume Rose was a girl too, actually. I don't know why. The name, like the pink in there, it just gave me more of a feminine vibe. And he's going to run with that now. Your boy just got an apartment. Let's go. For anyone to guess my rent for my very first apartment out of college, it was a 2-bedroom, 650 square foot apartment. It was tiny. Like, it was tiny in certain areas. The kitchen was, you could touch both walls, you know what I mean, with your hands not even fully extended. It was only a 1-person kitchen. Like, you could not have 2 people in there. Guesses for my rent of my first, it was in August of 2020 in Wyoming. In Wyoming. 2-bedroom. About 650 square feet. Reed says 1,100. Try with a roommate splitting it. Yeah, no, I'm saying total, even with the roommate splitting it, it was $540. And I split that. With like utilities and like the internet bill, it came out to $300 each a month. Yeah. Rose, congratulations. If you want, email me your address. I'll send you a letter so you get some mail for your new apartment. Okay. Next one. A few more to get to here. Josh and Tyrone. Thank you, Joshua Miller, with a $1,000 super chat. Him is annoying. I agree. He's very annoying. But I will stand by everyone's First Amendment right to, exercise their freedom of speech. I sent both those jerseys. It's crazy how once you just finally send an address and a size, that shit can get done. Okay. The second one. Yeah. Okay. This is a tough announcement to share. Whenever you're ready, Reed. So here it is. I've decided to make a career change altogether, and next Friday is going to be my last day at Chat Sports and on the Browns Report. Bittersweet, but it's feeling a whole lot more bitter than sweet right now, as I've loved this job and I've loved interacting with you all on a weekly basis. And I just felt like what was best for me in the next 5 years was making a career change when a new opportunity was presented to me at a point in my life where I felt like, hey, now is not a bad time to make a little bit of a gamble and make a little bit of a change. So there it is. I don't have a lot of great words to say right now because I've loved this job and I've loved what I've done with you guys every single week on our live shows, daily videos, and watch parties. But like I said, I just felt like I had to make a change. So I'm sorry. I feel like I need to apologize. Yeah, I don't have a great speech right now prepared or anything like that because I did not think I'd be uttering these words even like 2 or 3 months ago. But when a good opportunity was presented to me in a career field that I have a lot of interest in, I just decided to make the change. So I'm sorry to everyone. But I wanted to share that first with you all during our live show because you guys are the best. You're tuning in for our weekly live show in the middle of May when things are slowing down after the NFL draft and, of course, free agency. So I'll share this and make this announcement, periodically over the next 8 days before eventually I, sign off for one last time. But there it is. Next Friday, May 23rd, will be my last day at Chat Sports, and as a result, will be my last, Browns Report video. Appreciate everyone for, sending some kind messages right now in the chat. The funny thing about this entire process was the two biggest pros for not making a change was I didn't want to let down you, the viewers, and my coworkers. And then I kind of had a realization of maybe I just got to be like a college football coach and just do what's best for me and not stay here just because I don't want to, ruin Joshua Miller's day. So I appreciate it. Thank you guys there's a lot of, really funny and kind messages coming in right now. Cool guy. So many of you. This is not goodbye right now. Again, it's next Friday. So I'll put together a better, speech and announcement then. But no, he's him. Believe it or not, you did not have anything to do with it. AFX, you better bring Shay on the show. Better have Reed take over. I don't want to be stuck with Tyler Chubb. I don't think teacher is going to be. Actually, this is a good segue. If you at home right now have always felt like you could do this job better than me or as good as me, and you want to toss your name into the hat, I'm actually going to put the job description link in the job description link in the description of this video, and you're more than welcome to apply to come have exactly what I've done for the last nearly 4 years. Be the host of the Cleveland Browns Report and talk about the Browns on YouTube. So I'm putting this right now in the YouTube description. No, there's no in-house replacement announcement or anything like that. I'll work on the shape part. Might be a little tough on the short notice, but I hear you, AFX. I hear you. All right, he's him. Where am I going? So, good question. Sorry, you ever have lunch and then parts of your food just hangs around your mouth? That's the worst. So I am switching career fields altogether. I'm not going to a different competitor or anything like that. You might have been able to pick up over the years that I've got a passion for trivia. Love going to trivia. I host trivia, and the company I host trivia for is a friend of mine from college, and he reached out to me about joining him in a full-time capacity. So while I've loved this job because sports has always been a passion of mine, always loved trivia as well, and had an opportunity to, jump from one passion to another while still putting food on the table. And so that was really, what it came down to. Next super chat here. I know we have a bunch of them, and then we're going to get into the show. Ryan, no, and there's a home run by Castellanos. I think the Castellanos home run bit might have died. There's been too many events that have happened where we didn't get a Castellanos home run as a result. Rose with a $50 super chat. Let's run through these right now. Nathan, got to look out for your career. No one else will. Nathan, I really appreciate that. It's crazy how I was so petrified of making the change because I just didn't want to let you guys down and crush people's, days with, damn, that really sucks. And so I felt like that probably isn't the best reason just to stay where I am just because of what other people want. Joshua Miller, love you, man, but still a little bit salty about the York jersey. That I don't blame you for, Josh. I'm so sorry. And the Martin Emerson jersey. I'm just going to stop recommending jerseys. AFX, I want Reed as the host. Reed, more than welcome to apply. But that's obviously beyond. I don't. It's not like a. I don't get to pick. Yeah, not that I think you think I'm thinking to pick, but no, I don't get to pick. But Reed would do an excellent job. I don't know about Riyadh though. Yeah, this guy might not. Riyadh. AFX, thanks so much, man. And then Rose with a $50 super chat. Thank you so much, Rose. Cheers to you. Best of luck and a fruitful life. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm excited for the change. I said it was bittersweet, and there is, some sweetness to it for sure, but there's definitely a lot of, sadness about the reality of, there being a day where it's my last Browns report because it just, even, 2 or 3 months ago, that had not crossed my mind whatsoever. Joshua, chat sports wouldn't be a good use of my law degree. Fair enough. Understandable for sure. And now I know who to call if I ever get in trouble. Joshua Miller. AFX, stay live for 12 hours last day. That's an interesting proposition. I'll just take that into consideration. We'll definitely have a live show next week, by the way. So there will be like a final live next week. Kind of TBD on the when and the time of it. We've got some more supers here. Thanks so much, everyone. I really appreciate all the support and kind words you guys are throwing my way. We've got Ken G in a moment. 2, 1. Cody, how do you apply? I put the link for the application in the description of the. I'll toss it right now in the chat. You guys can just click from there. There it is. Ken G, PD, what do you want from London other than a dub? Do you mean like souvenir? You lost me a little bit, Ken G. I always hate when I don't fully understand someone's super checks. I know you spent your hard-earned money on this. Other than a dub, a postcard. I like postcards. I love getting postcards. Cody, really appreciate it. Thank you so much, buddy. Kenji, fill in the blanks for me. Let me know if you're talking like souvenir or are we talking like Browns game week 5 in London. AFX. Oh, no. All right, I think. Oh, you're going to London. Okay. A postcard would be awesome. I love getting postcards. So just email me, Kenji, and I'll shoot you my address. So coming up on today's show, we're going to run through the latest news and rumors, a record prediction going through all 17 games, and then a mailbag. Let's hit AFX's Super Chat, and then we can jump into our very first segment. 128 people tuned in. If you're just tuning in, I announced a few moments ago that next Friday, May 23rd, will be my last day at Chat Sports. I'm making a complete career change altogether, and so next week will be my last live show, and a very bittersweet type of announcement to make as I'm excited for what's next for me, my next chapter, but I have loved the camaraderie and the relationships that have been conceived in the chat over the last 4 years. And as crazy as that might sound, knowing you guys are just names and profile pictures and messages to me, it does feel like after 4 years, I've really gotten to know a lot of you on a close level. AFX, I hope we get a true Browns fan as the next host. I don't want it to be a situation where we have a placeholder host for a year. Yeah, I agree. I'm rooting for the success of whoever replaces me, and I'm going to be as available as possible to them to set them up for as a successful transition as possible. All right. Okay. Ken G, I don't know if you're just catching the announcement or if you heard it earlier, but yeah. Joseph, thank you so much. Here we go. Let's get into the latest news and rumors because I do want to get into, what you guys clicked on today's live show for, the latest on the Brownies. But we have a mailbag coming up in about 30 or so minutes. So use hashtag Browns, or you can super chat. As you see, when you super chat, it gets thrown on screen for everyone watching to see. So if you have something you are dying to ask or you have an idea you want to throw my way, super chat and you'll skip the line and we'll throw it on for everyone watching to see. But if you're unable to super chat, not an issue at all. Just use hashtag Browns somewhere in your message in the live chat. All right. We have 35 likes. Can we get to 40 likes? And then we're going to start our first segment. We're 5 likes away. I'll still be online, Kenji, but I hear you, man. Yeah. This has not been a day I've been looking forward to. Yeah, Lucky's like, dude, enough with your BS. Let's get down to business. How many games are we going to win this year? Or maybe importantly, how many games are we going to lose this year? We're at 42 likes. Here we go. I'm ready to rock and roll when you guys are. Welcome on into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here talking about the number one topic that everyone wants to talk about, and that is where do things stand in the Browns rookie quarterback battle between Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel following rookie minicamp going into OTAs and minicamp. So we're going to unpack some of the latest odds and the buzz out there on these two QBs. Now, I do have to make a quick announcement, and it's a bittersweet announcement, but next Friday, May 23rd, will be my last day at Chat Sports. I've decided to make a complete career change, and I'm excited for this new chapter of my life, but I will be moving on from being the host of the Browns Report as a result. And that's a lot of where the bitterness comes in with that bittersweet announcement. So we'll provide more information and things like that as we get closer to May 23rd. But I did want to let everyone know, a little bit in advance so I don't completely just drop a bombshell on you the day of. But bittersweet for sure. Like I said, we'll provide more updates on things, related to the channel, what's next in the coming days. But if you are interested in taking my job, the link to apply is in the comments and description of today's video. So let's get on to the sports side of things. Enough of the Matthew drama. So some Vegas odds have come out following, the draft and rookie minicamp. And if you're wondering, hey, Vegas always knows, what do they think about the Browns rookie quarterback competition? Right now, they've got Shedeur as a favorite to see more snaps in 2025. Coming out of rookie minicamp, I've got a couple of thoughts I want to share. One, it's rookie minicamp. Like, no jobs are won and lost in rookie minicamp. Now, in this year, with an open quarterback competition, yeah, there's probably going to be a bit of a bigger, magnifying glass on every single snap than in previous years where you have an established start and you have some rookies just learning the playbook and, just getting the offense and defensive install in. But don't lose sight of it is just rookie minicamp. Having said that, if you really wanted to twist my arm and say, who looked better? I got to know. Just give me a name. Don't be a pussy. Just tell me who looked better. I'd say Shedeur Sanders probably had more of the wow plays, whereas Dillon Gabriel was maybe a little bit more, I wouldn't say consistent, but, on time. It's not a huge sample size. It's a weekend of practice where they do some 7-on-7 drills, some 11-on-11 drills. Dillon Gabriel threw an interception to Carson Schlesinger, so I know people are going to flock to that as evidence as Shedeur kicked his ass. All right, well, in a week or two when Shedeur throws an interception, let's not all flock to that as evidence of Dillon Gabriel kicked his ass, right? It's rookie minicamp. There's going to be good days. There's going to be bad days. But if you really want to know, hey, who looked better? Just give me a name. I'd say Shedeur Sanders. But I don't think there's a huge margin between the two quarterbacks. Now, Vegas also has some odds on who could be the week one starting quarterback, in case you're wondering. Flacco is the favorite at -150. By the way, if you don't know, what these lines mean in English, it means if you bet $150, you win $100. Whereas for Kenny Pickett, if you bet $100, you win $165. So they've got Pickett next, then Shedeur, and then Dillon Gabriel very far behind. So Vegas is not the gospel when it comes to everything in sports. Obviously, the odds makers want to be right. They don't want to be, wrong and get burned for it. But there are lots of examples of Vegas odds makers being very wrong on things, especially in the NFL draft. So this is just a bit of a crapshoot, but maybe like an organized crapshoot. So Flacco right now in the lead, and Shedeur, you can see, is behind Kenny Pickett, but a good amount of space ahead of him, between him and Dillon Gabriel. I believe Joe Flacco will be this team's week one starting quarterback. It's not very common for quarterbacks taken outside of round one to start week one. It's not actually, it's extremely uncommon. And then on top of that, it's actually decently common for quarterbacks taken in round one to not start week one. Baker Mayfield did not start week one. First overall draft pick. There's not a lot of examples of rookies taken after round one or even just taken after round, from 3 to 7 of guys just emerging and winning the job outright during training camp. It's happened before. Russell Wilson is like the most, notable example. Seattle signed Matt Flynn from the Green Bay Packers, who balled out in week 17 for Green Bay. Russ came in and kicked ass during camp and won the job for week one. I've got one example off the top of my head in the last 15 years. You just don't see it very often. So you can get some decent value, I guess, with one of these two if you really do want to know who to throw some cheddar down on. But if I'm Kevin Stefanski, I'm thinking, which of these four quarterbacks gives me the best chance to win week one? They don't have to give me the best chance to be a playoff contender, be my long-term quarterback. But I like to win week one because that's the way coaches think, week by week. And I would assume Stefanski goes with Flacco, a quarterback he has had success with, a quarterback who's 40 years old and knows this offensive scheme, who can just step right in after maybe letting some of the younger guys get a lot of the reps in training camp so they can start to get up to NFL speed and go, yep, I came off my couch for you 2 years ago. I can step in week 1, even if you want to make these guys the focal point in training camp and preseason to figure out who's going to be the guy that replaces Flacco if they bench him or he gets injured, since Joe has not started 17 games in 6-7 years. So I can understand why the Browns decide to let these guys get a lot of the reps, but Flacco ends up starting week 1. Because I think Stefanski's going to pick the quarterback that gives him the best shot of starting week 1. And like I said, I think that's Joe Flacco. So speaking of week 1, it's the Cincinnati Bengals coming to town. Second time in the last 3 years now, 2023. Browns beat the crap out of them that year, so that was a fun game. Hopefully it's a repeat this year, but let me know who you think is going to start week 1 against Cincinnati. Some just dates to store away for the rest of the offseason. We've got some OTA sessions. These dates can be somewhat fluid, and by fluid I mean cancelable, because if they feel like the first 2 days of practice went well, teams will often just cancel the third day, especially during mandatory minicamp, which is June 10th to the 12th. Sometimes they make that 12th, the last day, like a field day. Just, we're going to have some fun. We're going to, go to an amusement park. We're going to do something not football related. The Rams are going to Hawaii for theirs, so maybe they go surfing or something like that. But just some dates to keep in mind as we inch closer to, that real portion of the offseason when things really start to die down. But talking about Shedeur and Dillon Gabriel, I'm going to warn you right now, your feed, your timeline, wherever you get your Browns content from, whether you're a repeat, viewer or you're coming in for the first time, get ready for constant quarterback updates. I'm talking Shedeur threw a touchdown today. He's the new starter. The next day, he threw an interception, but Kenny Pickett threw a touchdown. Pickett's the starter. From someone that works, I wouldn't say in the media, but like covering the Browns for a living, I'll let you guys in on a secret. Quarterbacks kill. Like when it comes to getting attention and getting views and clicks from consumers and eyeballs, nothing drives people to your site, your channel, more than quarterback intrigue, quarterback information. So every single person with a website, with a YouTube channel, with any kind of forum that covers the Browns is going to be updating you on every single practice, session, throw from the 4 quarterbacks. So buckle up for constant twists and turns where one day it feels like Joe Flacco's on the top of the mountain and the next day he's on the bottom. Because no matter how small of a detail it is, you're going to get an update on it. Because Browns fans or Browns media members have not had a lot of intrigue to talk about in the offseason over the last few years. They haven't had a first-round draft pick since 2021. They haven't had a top 50 draft pick until this past year. There really hasn't been a quarterback battle or competition for the last few seasons. So without that, media members can get, a little stale in what there is to report or cover because fans just don't really care about the right tackle competition. At least not the majority of fans. So just warning you right now, buckle up. All right. JOK, we learned last week, out for the entire 2025 season. And I just wanted to share with you guys something he said in his message to the fan base as he included it in the, Cleveland Browns official press release regarding JOK's, status for 2025, going on the PUP list and missing all of this upcoming season. So JOK wrote, "To the Cleveland Browns fan base and my supporters worldwide, thank you for your patience in my silence. I've given my heart to this game. I don't know what's next, but I'll continue trusting my medical team, serving the community, and backing my brothers on the field." I'll be honest, this does not read as a very encouraging sign of he's going to be coming back in 2026. A lot of time between now and then, but I did not interpret it as he's going to return after this season, guaranteed, because it doesn't seem like he knows even himself. I'm just going to toss this out there right now. Make JOK an assistant coach. Doesn't have to be this year. Doesn't have to be next year, but I feel that if his, unfortunately, playing days are truly over, some point down the road, if he would be a good addition to the coaching staff, make it happen. Keep him involved in this organization because I've loved having JOK on the field and on this roster since day one, and I would love to keep that energy he brings in the facility, even if it's in a different role. Before we sign off, if you want to get a Shedeur Sanders jersey, a Quinshon Judkins jersey, a Mason Graham jersey, go to chatsports.com/CLE rookies. I put that link in the comments and description of today's video. So if you want to get a new Browns jersey for 2025, support the channel and rock one of the rookie jerseys by going to chatsports.com/CLE rookies. All right, let's pick a card to wrap up today's episode. Okay. Which card do you want to go with, Reed? I'll go ace of spades. I'll round out the aces. Okay. Five of clubs. Five of clubs. All right. That's going to do it for us on today's episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I will be back with another episode tomorrow. All right, we got some super chats here. We'll get to it in just a moment. If you're thinking of unsubscribing, I understand that. Please just at least wait until after my last day, because this is not my last day. This is not my last live. This is not my last episode. This is just me announcing when my last day will be. It's kind of like when the NFL announces the day they're going to release the schedule. But I would ask you keep an open mind, and whoever the next host is, give them an opportunity to, keep your subscription. But I understand why, right? You subscribe to this channel, and I don't want to sound too egotistical, but I'll be honest, I'm kind of a main character on this channel. So when you lose the main character, I can understand, like in a show, like if they kill off a character you like, sometimes you're like when Michael left The Office, you're like, hey, I'm not going to watch as closely as I did beforehand. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, right. Give the next guy an opportunity because he could be a huge diehard Browns fan. Let's run through some of the super chats we got, and then we're going to jump into my second episode or second segment, which is record prediction. The reason I stayed was because of you, really, and to be honest, I'm probably going to unsub, then you leave. Love you, Petey. It won't be the same, so 523 later, guys. I won't, repeat what I just said. I understand why you feel that way, and I don't even disagree with that necessarily. I would just ask to give the next host an opportunity first because could surprise you, but I hear you. AFX, thank you so much. F12. Who's 12? Police? What did the police do? No, no more card picks after you leave. Yeah. No, first off, screw you. The Office is the greatest, sitcom in American history. I will agree that the cards are going to retire with me. So I will actually just take them home. All right, next super chat or two? Or are we all caught up with those? Okay, perfect. Awesome. Then let's talk all about the Browns record prediction. All right. Let me drive the boat. We ready? Here we go. Coming up on today's show, we're going to go through every single game for Cleveland in 2025, and I'm going to go win, loss, win, loss, win, loss for all 17. So welcome on in to the Cleveland Browns Report. Matthew Peterson here, breaking it all down, starting with Week 1, where the Browns open things up at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. Then they've got the Ravens on the road, Packers, Lions. 9-8, playoff team. That is a brutal start to the season right there. So, let's get right into it. Week 1, I've got the Browns losing. I know that under Kevin Stefanski, they've kind of had the Bengals number. I feel like the last 2 years, things have started to balance out a little bit. And while the Bengals do get off to slow starts, so everything from a historical standpoint would point to Cleveland, I'm going to go with Joe Burrow over whoever the hell the Browns trot out there for Week 1. Week 2 at the Ravens, I've got a loss as well. I'm just going to be honest with you guys here. I'm not going to try and gas you up and go 17-0. I like to be, completely transparent, so I got a loss. Week 3 against the Packers at home, that's a win, right? Maybe the first 2 games, they come up a little bit short, but Joe Flacco did not win his first start for the Browns, right? He lost in LA against the Rams, so give it a little bit of time, and I like the Browns to beat the Packers at home. Week 4, they go to the Motor City. I've got this down as a loss. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Detroit's a very good team. The Browns are not a very good team, so I'll take the very good team in their home stadium. Week 5, they go to they don't go to Minnesota. They go to London, and they play the Vikings in the UK. I've got this down as a loss, and I've actually got this down as a loss, not because I think the Vikings are going to be very good next year. I could see them taking a step back. I think it's because the Vikings have a huge advantage. The Browns are going to go from Detroit to London, most likely. I doubt they go back to Cleveland. Maybe they do, but regardless, the Vikings in Week 4, they play the Steelers in Ireland. So they just hop across the pond a little bit, not even a pond, just like, a koi pond, and go play in England after playing in Dublin. So huge advantage to them because they're already over there. So for that big advantage, I go with the Vikings. Coming back to the States, Week 6, I've got this down as a loss. So what are we right now? 1-5? Yeah, I understand why you probably have already clicked out of the video at this point and you are just rage commenting down below. But I've got some good news. I got a win. First true home game in a little while, since this one is technically a home game, but in London. Dolphins, I would have preferred to play them in like December or January, but they come up to Cleveland as the temperature begins to drop a little bit. Give me a win for the Browns over Miami. Plus, there's like a 90% chance Tua's injured by this point in the season. Another AFC East matchup in New England against the Patriots. I've got that down as a loss. So after 8 weeks, halfway through the season, I've got the Browns at 2-6. So how many wins for the 2025 Brownies? Let me know in the comment section below. I'm going to share my answer at the end of the video when you can see my entire 17-game record prediction. But let me know how many games you think Cleveland's going to win down in the comment section. The good news is you can't lose Week 9 because it's against the bye. So bye in Week 9, good time for bye, middle of the season. Week 10, they get an extra week to prepare for the Jets. I got that down as a win right there. So now the Browns are, 3-6? Yeah, 3-6. Yep. We got a win against the Packers, so that's 1. You've got a win against the Dolphins, that's 2. And then you got a win against the New York Jets, that's 3. You had a bye, 3-6. So 3-6 for Cleveland going into Week 11. How about some momentum, right? The boys start to get rejuvenated after a bye. Ravens come to town. There's no reason why they can't beat the Ravens at home. They did it last year, shorthanded. Give me the Browns against the Ravens at home for another year in a row. And now the Browns, who started off 2-6, are 4-6. Maybe in the hunt graphic by the time Thanksgiving gets here. Maybe not. They lost against Las Vegas last year, and that was a bad Raiders team. With Geno and Pete Carroll, they are going to be much more competent. So, while I don't think the Raiders are going to be very, I think the Raiders could be 7 to 8 wins this upcoming season. One of those wins, I think, happens against Cleveland. So, now with that, they lose at home against the 49ers. The Niners always get hot down the stretch. If you played them early, like they did 2 years ago, you could walk away with a win. You play them late, it's a lot more difficult. So, after getting 4-6, 4-7, 4-8, going into the final 5 games of the season, Cam Ward and the Titans come to Cleveland. Give me a win for the Brownies. There we go. So 5-8 right now for the Browns. All right. Week 15 in Chicago, 5-9. This one's a loss. I expect Ben Johnson to really turn things around in a hurry for Caleb Williams and the Bears. 5-9. Then they have the Bills coming to town. That's a loss. I got that as 5-10. This is probably the one that eliminates them from the playoffs. Maybe that one mathematically. Then the Steelers at home. That's a win right there, baby. Let's go. You beat the Ravens and the Steelers at home, so you go from 5-10 to 6-10. And then the Bengals on the road in Week 18. How about 6-11? So you doubled your win total from last year. You go from picking second to probably picking like 8th or 9th. And you have 2 first-rounders, which you could use to jump up and get a quarterback. So 6-11 is my final record prediction for the Browns. We'll kind of go through the entire slate one more time, but that's what I got. If you want to get a Shedeur Sanders jersey, by the way, a Mason Graham jersey, or a Quinshawn Judkins jersey, they also have Carson Schlesinger jerseys as well. They have a lot of jerseys at chatsports.com/CLE rookies. I just ask that you use this link. It's a great way to, 1, support the channel, and 2, get an awesome, legitimate jersey from Fanatics. I put the link in the comments and description of today's video. So let's refresh on what I predict. This is one of the toughest opening slates for any team this year. Like I said, 9-8 is the easiest opponent based on last year's record for the first 4 games of the season. That's tough right there. Then you got the Vikings, who already are across the pond in Week 5. Steelers on the road. I just can't say with full confidence they're going to walk into Acrisure Field and knock off Pittsburgh, knowing the voodoo magic Pittsburgh has against Cleveland. But I like a win against the Miami Dolphins. I put this down as a loss because I just want people to recognize that I think the Patriots with Mike Vrabel and Drake May in year 2 are going to be better than people give them credit for. Plus, I remember Bailey Zappi came to Cleveland and kicked the Browns' ass. So a lot has changed since then, but yeah, I'd be naive if I just chalked it up as an automatic win. Week 9, bye. Win-win. A little bit of momentum coming off the bye, but maybe a little bit of like fool's gold as they lose in Las Vegas, and then the 49ers, who I think bounce back this year, take care of business in Cleveland. However, they do serve the Titans and Cam Ward, with Jim Schwartz going up against that rookie, a loss in Week 14, followed by, I think, a tough game in Chicago late in the season. Josh Allen and the Bills come to town. Steelers, I like this as a bit of a trap game for Pittsburgh. And then Week 18, you round out the year against the Bengals, which it's tough for Week 18 just because you don't even, like, if I said 2 years ago the Browns are going to win Week 18, I'd probably say that thinking they're going to play their starters, not having David Bell score 3 touchdowns in the game. So I'll put it down as a loss for now. All right, let's pick a card to wrap up today's episode. You want King of Hearts? I'm going to go with 7 of Spades. Two of Spades. All right, thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. How many wins for the Cleveland Browns in 2025? Daniel says 4. Dillon says 8. Rock says 4. LA has 6 as well. Josh, thank you for your question. I love it. Josh always gets the best questions in. Squad, I'm thinking 10-plus wins. I like your optimism. This is like the worst day when it comes to like fandoms and media, because if you don't pick your team to go 17-0, you're a traitor. If you do pick your team to go 17-0, you're being, unrealistic. There's no way to make everyone happy. So I just decided, all right, I'll just be honest. And that's like the worst thing you can do, because then you're really going to piss off a lot of people. If you want to get on screen, by the way, and you have a question you'd like to ask, use hashtag Browns like Joshua Miller has, or Super Chat. If you Super Chat, you skip the line. We guarantee it gets on screen for everyone watching to see. So any Super Chats with questions, Reed, we can include in our mailbag. All right. No, we'll just do the announcement once more in the mailbag, though. Okay. So, start getting those questions in. Levi, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, my man. Ryan's right. We need to go through the Jag schedule. That's the more important schedule to look at, because owning their first-round pick next year, all eyes are on Cleveland and Jacksonville every single week. No, I think we're good on that front, too. I know. I know. Okay. Are we ready to rumble? Okay. Yeah, I think so. I'm ready. Yeah. I'm going to call out. David just got a question in, more of a statement, but that's fine too. I want to see a question. Time Man, I want to see a question from you. Time Man never asks a question. Yeah. Yeah, I want to see a question from Time Man, and I want to see a question from Ryan. Time Man and Ryan, get your questions in, you two. You guys never ask questions, I feel like. You're always in the chat. No, Ryan asks questions. That's false. Time Man, I'm going to put you right now on the hot seat. Time Man has all the answers. Yes, he does. I like it. I like it. All right. We'll start the mailbag, and those questions should fly in mid-mailbag. You ready? I'm counting on you, Time Man. Do not let me down, Time Man. Yeah. Ray, if you put hashtag Browns at the end of your question, then Reed can pull it and throw it on screen for everyone watching to see. Yep. Follow Josh to a T. All right. Before we start today's mailbag, I have an announcement to make. This upcoming Friday, May 23rd, will be my last day hosting the Cleveland Browns Report and working for Chat Sports, as I have decided to make a career change. I'll have kind of more information on that as we get closer to May 23rd, but I didn't want people to be blindsided that day. It was a very difficult decision to make, in large part because of all of you guys, the viewers, who have been so, supportive and just frankly outstanding since I've taken over this channel 4 years ago now. But this Friday now at this point, will be my last day. So very bittersweet, but we'll kind of update you guys more on that as we get closer to that day. But let's get into our mailbag now, starting with Joshua Miller. Is JOK's contract insured similar to Deshaun Watson's? So I'm not an expert when it comes to contracts for injuries like this. I doubt it's insured just because it wasn't that big of a contract. Although JOK would be a good person to insure the contract of, just because of his injury history the first few years of his career. There will be some level of cap relief the Browns do gain because of JOK missing all of 2025. I don't know the number, but I do know that there is a number. I just don't know it. So, Josh, thank you so much for your super chat. Your question. Iggy, Browns going 4-13 realistically. Can we look at the Browns' 18 games? I feel like the funny thing about schedule release day is we've known the opponents this whole time, but once we see it on the schedule, it's like for the first time ever, people realize, oh, we're playing in New England? I had no idea. It's like, we know the opponents in January, but there is something magical about knowing when. We knew the who, we knew the where, but it's all about the when. All right, so run through it real quick here. This is a tough stretch right here. They could easily fall. I mean, 3 playoff teams in your first 4 weeks. They could easily go 0-4 if we're being realistic. Then they play the Vikings in London. Vikings were great last year, and they play in Dublin in week 4. So big advantage to Kevin O'Connell and company. You come back from London, you immediately go to Pittsburgh. That stinks right there, right? Then you have a bye in week 9. It is a very difficult schedule. Despite finishing last in the AFC North a year ago, you always know that the division games are going to be tough. And then on top of that, just the way the cookie crumbled this year with the other divisions that you played, not an easy slate. Not an easy slate at all. So I have them down for 6 wins, but 4 does not seem out of, reach here. Iggy, thank you so much for your participation in our mailbag. Ryan, what was your favorite video/live show you did? Ryan, that's a great question. Let's answer this question at the end of the mailbag, because I want to have a few minutes to think about it, because I don't want to just rush to one answer right now. Ryan, appreciate it. I like where your head's at, though. Thank you so much. Moving on to our next question coming in from Ray. I think we are banking on these rookies. Unless they are great, we are a top 5 pick next year. It might be the plan. They could be great, and you could be picking top 5 next year. Mason Graham is not going to be the guy that has like a war of 4 or 5 wins. You know what I mean? Like Myles Garrett was terrific last year and they won 3 games. Mason Graham is not going to come in there and be the thing that puts it all together in year 1. So Graham could be awesome. Judkins could rush for 1,000 yards. Schlesinger can get 100 tackles, and they could win 5 games. And I would look at that as like not, mind-blowing, not confusing as to how those things all happened, but also not be discouraged about the future for this team. It's a young team in terms of the snaps a lot of these rookies are going to get at key positions. I feel like if I had to bet right now, the Browns are closer to picking 5th next year than 15th. Joshua Miller. Injuries aside, odds that we'll see Cam Ward versus Shedeur Sanders week 14. Low. Week 14 is late enough where like they could easily bench Flacco by that point, or maybe he's injured. He's 40. I don't know how to give you a percentage. I'm not going to bet on it, though. If it was even money, I'd bet against it than on it. Josh, thank you so much for your question. We've got another one coming in just a moment here. Ty Man the Buckeye. And then we'll tell everyone about our friends over at Fanatics. Can we beat the Steelers both times this season? We're filming this on Thursday, May 15th during our live show this week. And I don't know who Pittsburgh's week 1 quarterback will be. If Aaron Rodgers decides to retire, absolutely. There's no reason why Myles Garrett can't beat Mason Rudolph on the field, on the scoreboard. But if it's Aaron Rodgers twice, well, Rodgers was actually, I think, better last year than even I gave him credit for because he was working in a horrible Jets offense, and his numbers, the last half of the season were actually pretty decent. I'm not going to bet on the series sweep for the Browns this year. That feels like something that they put together in 2 or 3 years. I think they are still in the process of cooping and regathering themselves after that 3-win season a year ago. Ty Man, thank you so much for your question. All right, speaking of Shedeur Sanders from a moment ago, if you want to get a Shedeur jersey or a Quinshon Judkins jersey or a Mason Graham jersey, a Carson Schlesinger jersey, go to chatsports.com/CLE rookies. I put this link in the comments and description of today's video. It's a great way to support the channel, and you get a Browns rookie jersey of your choice. So use this link if you want to get some new Browns gear in your closet before week 1. Ray, who scores points on this team? I hope Jeudy takes a bigger leap forward in this category. Last year, I think he only had 4 touchdowns, one of which came in against the Cowboys week 1. And then he scored, I think, 2 times against the Broncos in that, awesome performance of his. So there was a huge gap between week 1 and then when they played in Denver in like week 11 or 12, where he never scored. So I would like to see Jeudy in the end zone more this year. I'd like to see 8 to 9 touchdowns from number 3 in 2025. Ray, thank you so much for your question. LA, my only jersey I have is a Chubb jersey. Thinking of getting a new one for the Vikings game in London. I'm torn on who to get on the back. Who would you recommend? First off, you came to the right place because I love talking jerseys. I love getting what I call second jersey guys. You're going to see Myles Garrett jerseys. You typically see a lot of quarterback jerseys. Those are casuals, right? Not the worst thing in the world, but if you want everyone else around you to know that you are a diehard fan and not a surface level fan, I would recommend like a Denzel Ward. Now he's getting up in the age column. He's approaching 30, so I can't guarantee he's going to be here for a super duper long time. For the rookies, I'd love a Quinshon Judkins jersey. If you're an Ohio State fan too, that goes well together. I think Jeudy could be a fun jersey too. I also think that whatever like number you like yourself should factor into the jersey choice. If you hate, number, 12, then don't get a Shedeur jersey because you're not going to want to wear a jersey where you feel like, oh, I don't even like the number on my own jersey. Njoku could be cool as well, but he's got 1 year left on his deal, so I would, caution you against that. Tim, if Cleveland has another 3 or 4 win season, any coach is getting walking papers. You go back-to-back 3-win seasons and not impossible. I think a lot of it could boil down to how do the Browns look, right? Are they losing a bunch of close games because whoever their quarterback is throws an interception at the end of the game? And it's like, man, Stefanski is getting the most out of his players. He just does not have the guy at quarterback, which that was expected going into this year. So we're not going to can him because no other coach in this situation would have fared much better. Whereas if they're losing by 30 and they win 3 games, you could look at that as, hey, talent or no talent, you weren't even competitive in 10 of those 13 losses. We were constantly on the wrong end of, covering machine. So I can't say definitively 3 wins, you're fired, because if they're competitive in 3 wins and they are picking early in the draft and there's a quarterback that they love and that's going to be available to them most likely, Jimmy Haslam might go, hey, let's finally get Kevin Stefanski the right quarterback because we know he's a good coach. We've seen that before. We've seen success. He's made it to the playoffs 2 times. I'm going to take accountability for the last 2 years being a disaster because I wanted to go get Deshaun Watson. So I'm not going to fire Stefanski because of the decision I made to give up a lot of picks for Watson, which ended up biting the team in the ass later on. Dillon, no, it won't be the same without you, but I wish you luck with whatever you're doing next. Dillon, thank you so much. I'm going to miss picking cards with your name on it, buddy. But I really appreciate your kind words, and I'll give an update on what that next chapter looks like for me close to Friday. Josh, and then we had, I think, Ryan's too. Best memories from your 4 years with us. What was your favorite video/live show? God, that's tough. I did college with you guys. I started this job in August of 2020, or July of 2021. And, I'll walk away in May of 2025. I did college, started in the fall and in the spring. I don't know how I can pick just one. Going through the live shows, that's kind of the easy one to go with off the top of my head. I'll toss out one that I won't call as a favorite, but definitely one that I'll remember. Week 2 against the Jets. This was my first year doing watch parties. And I crowned the Browns champions that day. Up 13 with 2 minutes to go. And then Joe Flacco happened. That is one that when people talk to me in a few years, hey, what was your last job? And I explain it, and they're like, huh? And I go, all right, let me just give you a visual. That will be one that comes to mind. But not for the right reasons, but it was definitely memorable for sure. So I will definitely remember the Jets-Browns Week 2 game when I was like, the Browns, I declared them victors. I did a victory dog bowl. Yeah. And then it happened. Only Nick Chubb just went down at the 1-yard line. Let's pick a card. I'm not ready to have the waterworks just yet, Still have some time until Friday. But 8 of diamonds. I'll go with 8 of diamonds. Yeah, I deserve that. King of Hearts. King of Hearts. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'll see you all next time. Josh said Queen of Hearts. Damn, that was close. Like I said, this is not my last live. I'll be live this upcoming week, next week, I guess, actually. It's always tough to say things from a timing perspective, knowing not everyone's watching this at the same time. But anywho, not my last video, anything like that. So I really appreciate all the kind messages, but I'm not dead yet. You can save those type of messages for when I truly am dead at the end of next week. So you're leaving. I just have one thing to say. Good luck. Happy to have given you some messages that make Browns fans go, I won't either. Make Browns fans go, won't either choose. You lost me in the last little bit right there, but the first part I loved. So thank you so much, Mike. Mike has been just a chat sports junkie for years. Kathy's here, indeed. A lot of the usual suspects, hanging out with us right now. That will do it for us on our live show today. not the last live, but if you are just tuning in, next Friday, May 23rd, will be my last day working at Chat Sports, and thus my last day, on this channel covering the Browns. So bittersweet. I'll tell you guys more about what's next for me as we get closer to that day, but I've already seen a lot of really kind messages, and I really, really appreciate it. You guys don't know just how much it means. LA, I'm sorry to have such a short stint with you, but hopefully you stick around, post PD. All right, we will sign off, and we'll see everyone later.